Hello and welcome to Minivangelism, the driver's seat, where we talk about the Bible without the kids in the car. If the kids are in the car, let them go do something else, because today we are talking about
Chaperone
and roughhousing.
And harlots.
Not as connected as it sounds right now. We're glad that you're here. Welcome to the van. Hello and welcome to Minivangelism, the driver's seat, where we talk about the Bible without the kids in the car. If the kids are in the car, let them go do something else, because today we are talking about the Battle of Jericho.
Yes.
We're glad that you're here. What were you going to say? It feels like I want to use like a WWE voice.
Yes.
The Battle of Jericho.
Sunday.
Yeah. All right. What version of this story did you inherit, Miss Anna?
So I think we have already established that the theme this summer is we are hitting the Sunday school specials.
Yes.
Right? It's all the big stories that we mostly give to children. So this is one that I inherited just... Yeah, it's something that I was taught in children's church and Sunday school. I could not tell you the first time I heard it, but I've heard it a lot because of the song.
Yeah.
That was a song that we sang in children's church. Even we weren't even talking about the story. It's just a good like children's church song
Nice.
to remind us about the power of God, I guess.
Yeah.
This was one of those Hanna-Barbera VHS tapes.
Nice.
I do remember that. The Joshua was voiced by Ed Asner, the like old man from Mary Tyler Moore.
That's incredible.
I don't know why that's.
I barely remember who that is.
I know, and then also I mentioned in the Minivangelism, the Veggie Tales one is like top 10 for me because the people in Jericho are these little French peas, and they like stand on top of the wall and they sing a song and they throw grape slushies, and it's ridiculous and cheesy and corny. And
I love it.
When I was in elementary school, I ate it up. I loved it.
Unbelievable.
What about you?
I don't think I inherited much of this story.
Because it's violent.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I think it was one that like my family kind of steered away from. And I think that like the branch of the church that I grew up in has issues with the book of Joshua. And like rightly so, because it's a story of like conquest and holy war. And so I think my folks kind of steered away. I feel like I did see the Hanna-Barbera one maybe. But yeah, it's not one I got a whole lot of.
I remember like the image from the movie, the Hanna-Barbera version is like when they go to shout. I just have this one image in my head of this one guy. Like it almost looks like he like unhinges his jaw to shout. Like he like leans back and it's like the animation just kind of freezes and they're all just kind of like in this like, ah.
Just a big yawp.
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine it was probably pretty close to that.
I think so.
Yeah. I feel like what we're going to talk a lot about is the stuff that happens on either end of the story.
Yes.
That wasn't necessarily part of what was assigned to Corlia, but is some of the coolest content. So before the story, before the battle itself, there's this whole thing that happens with this woman named Rahab.
Yes. And she's in the video, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Like the spies going into Jericho. There were two spies that were sent in there, and the king like hears about it, and he hears that they're staying at Rahab's house, and Rahab was a harlot,
yeah,
which means she was a sex worker, and so you couldn't stay at the Days Inn down the street, but okay, and so they go and they stay in Rahab's house. King finds out that they're at Rahab's house, and so he like goes over there, and he's just like, "Bring us the spies," and she's like, "They were here, but they left, but they weren't." They were hiding on a roof. And because she like, and she tells them like, we've heard about your God. We've heard about everything that you've done. And I'm on your side.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to stand in your way.
You're right. She's what's called a God-fearer, meaning a non-Jewish worshiper of the God of the Jews. And there are a lot of them in the Bible, actually.
Yeah.
Because they often pop up when they're needed.
Yeah.
And eventually she is incorporated into the family of God.
Yeah. So yeah, because she, and like, that's her like deal with the spies is like, listen, I know that y'all are about to come in and just like F some mess up. So like, you got to spare me and my family. And they were like, gather everybody in your house. And whoever's in your home when we finally invade is safe. And sure enough, when the walls do come tumbling down, Joshua says, you got to take everybody out, which let's put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Except for Rahab the harlot, which he also calls her Rahab. Like at this point, like we have to like say what her name is.
I feel like if you're in a neighborhood that has harlots, that's might be what they go by. I don't know.
Like, just go to that hoe's house. But he's like, go to the house of Rahab the harlot, and anybody that's in that home is spared. And it was like her mom and her dad and her brothers and their families were spared, and then they were incorporated into the Israelites. Like they were given a home among them, and then you keep going down the line, and
she gets married. They have kids. They have kids. They have kids, and she shows up in the genealogy of Jesus.
That's right. She's one of 4 women that are mentioned in the genealogy of Jesus, and it's interesting because it's like her and Tamar are the first 2 that are mentioned in Jesus's genealogy, and both of them were they were sex workers.
Yeah.
And Tamar pretended to be a sex worker in order to get pregnant by Judah. Right. Which, if you want more information on that, you can go listen to our Joseph 2 episode. I think it's either Joseph 2 or Joseph 3. We talk about it. But it's just really interesting that God uses women who are not the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
To tell his story. And they are the ones that are named.
Right.
That Rahab is not an Israelite, and she's a sex worker, and she is named in that genealogy, and she's revered. And I think that's really cool. And
it's the kind of person that God says yes to all the time.
Mm-hmm.
In part because like God has made this covenant with God's own people, with the descendants of Abraham, but their covenant is for the sake of the whole world. So outsiders are a part of the eventual plan.
Yes.
And they get incorporated along the way. It's the same thing going on in the story of the Good Samaritan. The Samaritan is an outsider. People don't like him. Turns out he's the one who saves the day. Mm-hmm. And God somehow says, yeah, that's what I'm like. Like that's what I'm up to. So it's a delightful, I think, shock about the character of God that we get from the Bible.
Yeah. And then this story. And I think it's really cool that her story is mentioned in there.
What's less delightful is God seemingly blessing holy war.
Yeah.
I
don't like it. Drew, I don't like it.
So that might be one of the things that makes you uncomfortable.
Very much so. It makes me uncomfortable. When it's a children's church song, they're just fighting the Battle of Jericho. The walls come tumbling down. That's it. You don't get the order to kill every man, woman, and child, and donkey and ox, which I don't know what those donkeys did, but okay. But like,
they were a bunch of asses.
Exactly. Yeah. Kill all those asses. But like I think like just when I was younger reading the story, it almost like dehumanized the people of Jericho, right?
Yes.
They were just Canaanites to be conquered. But then as I got older and I was just like, oh no, we're killing young and old, male and female. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Makes me really uncomfortable. So.
And I think part of it is because we're reading the version of the story that's written by the home team. Mm-hmm. And so I think there's language that's hyperbole. There's language that's accentuated. There's that in the voice of Israel, God is on their side and reads that way. The thing is, when you read the whole Bible, God is ultimately not interested in letting violence stay around. Mm-hmm. God is ultimately, from beginning to end, interested in filling the earth with life. But it is also true that in big episodes, a lot of people die. In the flood, in the Exodus story, there's a lot of Egyptians that die in that story, as well as in the conquest of the Promised Land. And so we get to kind of wrestle with, is this a good God or not? If you're writing it as the home team, this is the best God, because my enemies are God's enemies.
Right.
And so I think some of that comes through just by the perspective of who's writing the story. But I had a professor that said, if you read the story of the Bible, kind of from how the story goes from beginning to the end, part of where this is headed is a world with no violence and no death at all.
Right.
Where and the way that it happens is that more and more God fights our battles.
Yes.
So there's a way of reading it that keeps in mind, based in the whole story of the Bible, that what God really wants to do is to tear down walls and make peace. But as I mentioned in the Minivangelism episode, what happens in Joshua 6 is there's this battle, and then the next one, they don't follow God's directions, and they lose. So part of the message is go with God's plan. It will go better for you. In the bigger story, what is revealed is that ultimately God's plan is to put war to death, and be the one who provides whatever is needed so that we don't have to fight over it.
Yeah.
So challenging or uncomfortable parts in context can help. The other big thing that can help is the resurrection. Part of the way the New Testament works out the fact of Jesus' resurrection is that part of the reason Jesus died was to raise those lost in the flood, the Egyptians who were killed, the Jerichoites. How would you say that?
They were Canaanites.
Jerkins?
Jerks.
That's jerkins. It sounds like a pickle. But that part of Jesus' entry into death is for the redemption of the dead. And so perhaps God is willing to tolerate death with the plan of ultimately raising them.
It kind of sounds like mercy killing, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't think that's what I intend, but ultimately it appears death is not the last thing for this God. And so over the long haul, death still happens. But somewhere in the plan of God and in the reality of God is that even those that are killed will be redeemed. And again, it doesn't remove all the uncomfortable bits, but it's one of the ways of trying to explain how reading the story with the end in mind changes our interpretation of the story.
Yeah. I just hate that like so many of these violent stories come at the beginning of the Bible, because if you don't know the ending, you know what I mean? Like this is why I read plot summaries on Wikipedia before I go see the movie. Because my anxiety cannot handle not knowing what's coming. I need to know that it's going to end well, or I'm not going to see the movie, right? Like the first of like the Avengers, I don't know if it was Endgame or Infinity War. Avengers Infinity War taught me you need to read the plot summary on Wikipedia or you will be wrecked for like 48 hours after seeing a movie, right? Like and I which did I ever tell you what I did when Avengers Infinity War came out?
No.
It was a classroom management tool because, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, a lot of people die.
Yeah.
And so I went and saw it before most of my students. I taught middle school. And whenever they would start talking, I would start writing out who died in Avengers Infinity War just one at a time until they stopped talking. And that was the like best week I ever had in that class.
Just spoiling it.
Yeah, they were so good and then they all saw it and I was out of luck. Anyway, I digress. But I think like knowing the end of the story, can help you with this. I think if I'm coming into the Bible fresh and I'm deciding I'm going to read it cover to cover, I'm probably going to end. Or if Joshua doesn't get there, then Judges definitely is like, I'm out. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And first off, don't read the Bible cover to cover. It sucks cover to cover. At some level, one of the things we say sometimes is friends don't let friends read the Bible alone.
We've said that on this podcast many times.
And so get a guide because it's really more of a library. It takes the shape of a saga, but it's also not really in chronological order. And you got to know some background to be able to understand different ways that different stories have been interpreted. So if you hit a story that makes you uncomfortable and you throw the Bible across the room and never pick it up, you've missed out. I think the big question, though, is, okay, Miss Anna, so what's the plot summary of the Bible?
Jesus.
I think that's a fair answer, but
God loves you.
But
Jesus.
but also I think everybody might have their own assumptions about what the plot summary is, and then that gets read into all the stories.
Yeah.
The reason we're troubled by this is that part of our plot summary, part of our big picture theology, is a God of peace. Yeah. And so when we encounter a God of war, there's dissonance there. And I think it's good dissonance, and it's worth sticking with it and wrestling with it.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And to tell God that you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell, God? Why is this? What's going on here? That's a worthy prayer and a worthy conversation.
And then you tell that to the person you're reading the Bible with, and they're going to be like, just stick with it.
Yeah. Well, and
jump ahead.
Not to mention that other cultures have read these stories and used them as justification for a war they said was holy.
Right.
The problem is, I think anytime you've got confidence that God is on your side, you just want to double check. I think you can be more confident if you can feel that we are on God's side.
Yes.
Because God is the one whose side matters most. That it's not about getting God to be on the winning team. It's about discovering what it means to be on God's team. And so that's what made civil rights movements leaders march.
Yeah.
Is they knew that the winning team is God's team, and the winning team is a diverse team where people of all nations and races are welcomed with equality. They learned that about God's plan and marched toward it, no matter what was in the way. That's different than saying, I think this should be true of our nation. And I talk to God, and God says, God thinks I'm right. And so we're going to go take it. Right. That's a different posture altogether. And I think that does play out in the book of Joshua, is the difference between you thinking I'm with you versus me insisting on inviting you to be with me.
Right.
I think that's a major thing that is relevant.
Yeah.
I hope it's needless to say, but like, not everybody that talks about God is actually on God's side.
No, they like to cherry pick God's words and do what they want with it.
And generally, the way we measure that is against the plot summary.
Yes.
And to the extent that the plot summary for Christians is Jesus, that informs a lot of our policy, ethics, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
As well it should.
Yes. So I very excitedly texted you recently when we were getting ready for this. And I sent you like just your name in all caps with multiple exclamation points, which means I have a thought. And
it means several things. I'm glad this one was, I have a thought.
But the thought was, I was like, they marched for 7 days, but they're supposed to have a Sabbath. And the Sabbath is already established as a day of rest. And they're breaking the rules. And I'm a rule follower and I don't like it. Yeah. I don't like that they're breaking a Sabbath. So what's up with that? What's the deal? And then you were like, that's a red herring. Don't chase it. But I chased it.
Ooh.
And you kind of touched on it in Minivangelism.
Tell me.
So on the 7th day, which would symbolize a Sabbath, they do the most work. So they're doing like the opposite of what they're supposed to be doing. They're doing extra work. And that's a day of decreation. So like we rest on the Sabbath because that was after God created. He rested. And so they're doing like extra hard stuff because they're decreating. And I just thought that was really neat. It has I don't know if it has any bearing on the story or how we teach it, but it was just something because the Bible is cool.
Yeah, it's like the same story, but the colors are reversed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That God does things in 7 days. This one just happens to be the opposite of what God did in Genesis 1.
And I think what it shows is that God is the one doing it.
Yeah.
They're shouting and they're blowing trumpets, but come on. God is the one that's taken down that wall.
And there's a connection, I think, to even just the breath, because it is through the breath that God creates.
Yes.
It's the ruach of God through which God creates. And here it's the breath of God's people that decreates.
Yeah.
And like a line from the story of Job, the Lord gives, the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. This one of the conclusions is that like God is in control of this, which is good news, and can at times be terrifying.
Yeah.
Because if God is, then we are not.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm glad you chased that down.
I did. Do you want to hear another one that I chased?
Yes.
I've always wanted to know, and this was kind of based on what Corlelia said, and I mentioned it a little bit in Minivangelism, is why didn't the people of Jericho attack? If these people are walking around the city,
yeah,
like you're on a high up wall, like you can't, like throw something? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Like Monty Python.
Yeah. Or like, why didn't they just leave and like go attack them? Because it wasn't the full army.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got priests and the Ark of the Covenant. And so like, what was going on during that time? And they're like, and also I think it's weird that they're just like marching around with, their box of God, right? And I don't know. I read something that was like, with the Ark of the Covenant going around, and that was also like super risky to take the Ark of the Covenant into a war zone where these people could have, I mean, what was to stop just somebody from just like pinging a stone down there? You know what I mean?
It's the closest thing to stealing a mascot that they could have done.
Exactly.
Is take the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah. And I read something that was just kind of like God was parading around the city.
Mm-hmm.
And God was letting them know, I'm in the middle, literally, I'm in the middle of all of this. And I'm wondering if the reason they went for 6 days, if God was giving them one more chance to open up the gates and like some grace and some mercy. I don't know, because we just talked about how this doesn't seem to be a very gracious God, unless you're a harlot. Like, this doesn't seem to be a very gracious God. So did he give them 6 days to just, I don't know, go? Because even the king and Rahab, like everybody in Jericho knew what was up. Like they heard about these people. Right. They heard about their huge army. They heard about their God that's like parting the Red Sea and the Jordan River. Like, wouldn't you just kind of like just go out there? I don't know.
Well, and it kind of rhymes with the Jonah story too, where Jonah is being sent to give warning.
Yes.
About what's about to happen unless you repent. And that itself is an act of mercy.
Yeah.
Or an opportunity for mercy.
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting.
I like that as the reason that they might have marched for so long. Mm-hmm. I do think that that the multiple chances God is a God that I know.
Yeah.
And need.
Yeah.
And looking back, there probably have been times when I did see God marching around for 6 days and and didn't open the gates,
Yeah.
And there's something about that there is a logic to it.
Yeah.
But ultimately in Jesus we see the fullness of that mercy, which also it breaks down walls, but to another end. Mm-hmm. I like any theology that helps us have both the judgment and the mercy in the same person.
Yes.
Because mercy without any justice doesn't seem to satisfy.
No.
But justice with no mercy just doesn't look like Jesus.
Right.
And so somehow both of those things have a home in the heart of God. Mm-hmm. And the stories bear that out.
Yeah.
So thank you for pulling on that thread too.
You're welcome. It was a scarlet thread.
So, good segue to the one other thing I wanted to say. There's a thing with with Rahab where she's supposed to put a scarlet garment out the window as a signal, and Rahab then shows up in Jesus's genealogy, and it ended up being kind of a colloquial way to talk about how Christians read the Bible. Mm-hmm. Is we're looking for the scarlet thread throughout the Bible, and the scarlet color is tied to the blood of Jesus. Yeah. And so we're looking for the ways in which Jesus has been a part of the story the whole time.
Yeah.
And so it happens with this scarlet thread in Rahab's story, and then again when Rahab shows up in Jesus' story. And in that way, there's this thread of the fullness of who God is that is woven throughout Scripture. Now, if you believe that every single word of Scripture comes from the mouth of God, then you have to make a scarlet thread out of the whole thing. But if you believe that the Scriptures are the testimony of people about this God, then you get the full story told by the people where they say, yeah, we slaughtered every one of them. And that might be coming from the voice of the people. But part of the reason why it's given to us is because the church and our ancestors in the Jewish faith have said, God is in this story that we wrote for you. And the invitation is to find that scarlet thread.
The scarlet thread didn't start with Rahab, though.
Go.
It actually starts with Tamar.
So cool.
I know.
Another callback to Tamar.
Yeah. So she, in her encounter with Judah, she ends up pregnant with twins. And as she's giving birth, one of the twins sticks his arm out of her, and they tie a scarlet thread around that twin's wrist, and then he draws his arm back in, and then it's actually the other brother that emerges first. But they're like, we weren't firstborn. This one actually got out here first.
Another example of the scandal of the firstborn.
But the secondborn is the one that's in Jesus's line.
Ah,
again.
Yes.
Stinking secondborns.
Yeah.
Justice for the oldest.
Again, like love those connections, and part of what the church says is like it's not nothing. It's not just a coincidence. Like it's a way in which the story of Jesus is the story of the whole Bible, and we haven't always known that, but now we do, and so we get to pull on that scarlet thread until the God that we discover there turns out to be the God made known in Jesus Christ.
That's so cool.
It's so cool.
I love it.
Yeah. How are you going to talk about the story with your kids?
So I think this is a fun story to act out. And walk around. And I'm married to a trumpet player, so we've already got trumpets already. Do you own shofars?
I do not.
I do.
You?
Yeah, we have like 3 of them because my husband's a trumpet player.
That's
he
fantastic.
doesn't like play them, but it's just like anytime anybody has ever been to Israel or anywhere overseas, they like pick one up at the airport gift shop and they're like, "Here, the horn player wants this."
That's perfect.
And I'm like, "That's so neat."
I want to hear him play one.
They're not great, Drew.
I mean, I'm not expecting him to play Dizzy Gillespie on the thing.
So, yeah, but maybe we can march around our house.
And give me a few blasts, David. Let me hear you.
Yeah, play it there, Bugle Boy. No, but I think when I'm talking to my kids about this, just the nonviolent aspect of it, which is kind of getting harder and harder to do as we look at Old Testament stories.
Sure.
But that, to emphasize that it was God that brought the wall down through some weird methods.
Sure.
And there are going to be times in your life where, like Corley said, where God might ask you to step out and do something in faith.
Right.
And keep that faith. Hold on to that faith. And and it's okay to question it too.
Yeah.
I think that's how I'm going to talk about my kids. What about you?
I think it's fair to adopt the story as a way we talk about facing problems or barriers. Is say, well, God told them to, blow the shofar and yell. Do you want to yell at this problem with me?
I love that. That's really good.
And ask God to take it away. I think that's a fair way of incorporating the Bible into our own challenges with our kids and their challenges, and to populate their imaginations with what our ancestors in the faith have done.
Yeah.
The other thing that like this story brings up for me is how violence or even like roughhousing lives in our house.
Yeah.
Because
you have a boy. I feel like there's just more roughhousing at your house.
I have to tell you, we have 2 girls and a boy, and 2 out of 3 need to roughhouse. The third one doesn't really want to be touched. But the other 2, they need to roughhouse, and I want them to. I want to do that with them. Like I feel like that's human energy that needs to go somewhere. But I will also admit that it's tricky because I don't really want to be practicing violence with my kids, and yet I do want to teach them how to wrestle.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively. So that's an interesting thing. Again, I grew up in a very, very pacifist home, and I think I see the value in that. And they probably went a little bit too far. I don't know. I'm occasionally letting my kids like play with Nerf guns. We did not have any of that in my house. Which it was fine. Finger guns work great. But I don't know, like violence in the Bible and violence in my household is something I don't feel like I've got nailed down. And so it just makes me reflective about that. But I'm still gonna, and when somebody comes in and knocks down somebody's Lego wall or magnetile wall or blocked wall, we're suddenly in the heat of battle.
Yeah. That is when we preach nonviolence.
Exactly.
It's when something breaks.
But I also, I want them to understand some notion of self-defense at the same time. So I'm just naming that that's a tricky thing.
Yeah.
If the plot summary is nonviolent, how does that work out in a family or in a violent world?
Yeah.
Those are kind of big ethical questions that actually do show up in the household.
And I think the power of your voice is something else that can be taken from this and maybe, given to children, especially children. You know what I mean? It was their voices. They shouted. Like you said, let's shout at this problem, but just your voice carries enough weight to tear down a wall. Yeah. And I know that there are a lot of kids that, and adults, but kids especially, that maybe don't feel like their voice carries a lot of weight.
That's a good word.
And so just, encouraging them to use their voice to take down powerful enemies is good.
And it sounds cheesy, but also the power of music.
Yeah.
That was one of my big takeaways this time, because it's the first time I ever wrote a story about Jericho, and I discovered, this is a story about music. Yeah. The Shofar blast is never going to be running on my Spotify playlist, but
I want you to make a playlist that's just all Shofar music. I'm not going to listen to it. I just want to see if you can do it.
I love it. The title of the playlist would be Shofar So Good.
Yes, most definitely.
But I do think, I've been through a stressful season, and playing music has been a big way of coping. There was this one song that for a few weeks, it was like the song that I put on just to kind of get grounded. And just yesterday, we were driving the car, and my daughter asked me to put that song on.
Oh, wow.
She had heard me do it enough that she was like, I got to hear that song. I was like, yeah, me too, babe. Let's put it on. And like different times when the family is stressed or angry or whatever, I'll put on some music that can kind of break us out of that mood. So I do think that music, breathing, your voice, exercise, a long walk, those might not be right at the heart of what this story is about, but I think those are genuine connections to remembering God.
Yeah.
And inviting God to come and fight this battle for us so we don't take each other out.
Y'all are such a meaningful household, because do you want to know what the go-to song that my kids are requesting that we have to listen to at the beginning of every car ride?
What is it?
Hot to Go by Chapel Roan.
I love that one. We do sing that one too.
Yeah.
But I sing HOTDOGO and then
hot
say,
doggo.
Yeah, give me 2 hot dogs to go.
Well, my kids like it because she says the D word, and they sing it
hard
with passion. And mommy doesn't say nothing about it because I don't want to
yeah, you don't want to
stigmatize the word.
You don't want to neg the music, the power of music.
But man, oh man, did they get into that song.
I love it. Anything else you want to make sure to share?
No, I think I'm good. What about you?
Yeah, I'm good too. Thanks everybody for listening. A reminder, we try to publish every 2 weeks. We'd love to hear from you. You can follow us on Instagram or on Facebook. You can email us at minivangelism@gmail.com. And we're so thankful to be able to do this with you.
Yes, and this is the last episode of our summer series. And so we've been working hard this summer, and so we're about to go on break. And so we will be taking a brief hiatus. So our next episode is going to be coming out Labor Day weekend. So you have something to listen to on your travels if you're going out of town for Labor Day. So don't expect an episode for a little bit. And yeah, we'll see you at the end of August.
And again, if you've got kids in your car that would like to be on the show, let us know. The answer is yes.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
God bless you. Bye.
Bye.
Minivangelism and the Driver's Seat are hosted by Anna Burrell and Drew Colby. Theme song written by David Burrell and produced by Evan Setzer. The theme song was performed by David Burrell, Drew Colby, and Evan Setzer. Podcast, sound design, and editing done by David Burrell. Minivangelism and the Driver's Seat are a ministry of Grace United Methodist Church in Manassas, Virginia. For more information, check out umcgrace.org.